Hello everyone, this is Nimish. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to decode Churuli. We are going to understand it, try to explain it, discuss it together. So leave your comments as we go through this video, your thoughts and interpretations as well. And I'm going to try my best, to the best of my ability, to explain this movie as much as possible. This is not going to be a movie review. I'm going to make a separate video on the review of the movie as a whole and all the technical aspects, the qualities, etc. So subscribe and stay tuned to this channel for much more on such videos. Today we are going to strictly focusing on decoding this movie, which is well crafted like a huge puzzle by the legendary director Lijo Jose Pellissery. So without further ado, let us begin. Spoiler alert, I have to give a spoiler alert at this point. If you have not yet watched the movie, do not watch this video. Every possible spoiler will be spoken about here. That being said, let us start with the concept of time loop. The basic concept and the premise of the movie that it is a time loop thriller or a time loop drama. Time loop is important to understand at this point. A time loop is nothing but characters starting at a certain point, they go through a certain journey, and either because of a certain trigger event or a certain end point, they are reset to the beginning. They start that journey all over again. Essentially, they are walking around in circles. This time loop in movies can be subconscious or conscious. In Churuli, it is subconscious, meaning the characters do not know that they have been reset. They are reset, so when they start the journey again, it's as if they are doing it altogether new. Vinay Forrt, for example, is on a new journey in Churuli, whereas if you compare a movie like Source Code or Happy Death Day, these movies are conscious time loops wherein they know they have to finish a certain task before they get reset. They are aware that a trigger event will get them back to the starting point and they'll have to go through the journey again. It's a different kind of time loop. Here it is subconscious. The reason I focus on the word subconscious is because there's only so much that can be reset from the conscious mind in this particular Churuli time loop. So you will see characters subconsciously saying names, feeling things, feeling a sense of deja vu, because although their mind has been reset on the conscious front, their subconscious sometimes pops up. Just like you and I experience deja vu every now and then, we might feel like we've been to a place before, we might feel like we've seen a person before, we might feel like we call someone something else sometimes. These are all subconscious aspects that the brain spits out every now and then, and it is very helpful for us viewers to pick up clues and understand this movie. And that is really the main basis on how all of us can interpret this movie, by observing the details of what people are saying in one scene versus another, what are some of the questions they are asking, how are they feeling. These gives us clues that this is a major time loop. But before we get into the major time loop aspects, now that we have understood that it's a time loop movie, the first and easiest way to watch this movie is to think of it as the simplest time loop, which starts with Anthony and Shajivan entering Churuli on the jeep, crossing that bridge. That bridge is sort of the portal to Churuli, but they are entering Churuli, they start an investigation, and by the end of the movie, they are exiting the loop by flying into the moon. The simplest way to watch this is to imagine that they start the loop again, both of them go back into Churuli, try to do this again, finally end up in the loop. This is the most basic way to watch the movie. However, at this particular juncture, the most appropriate question comes in. If that is the case and it is such a simple time loop, then why did Sobin Shahir and Vinay Forrt switch seats at the end? If it was such a simple time loop, Sobin Shahir would have sat at the back, the two guys in the front, Anthony and Shajivan, would have exited the loop would have started again. So herein lies the first hint as to how big and complicated this time loop actually is. It is not as simple as I just explained. Therefore, we are now going to get into the second stage of why this switch happened. To understand this switched seats and why they are switching seats, we have to examine this movie imagining there is a prequel and a sequel. Just imagine there was a prequel and a sequel, and this will make much more sense. In the prequel, if there was a prequel, what would have happened is that Sobin Shahir and Vinay Fortt would be the two cops that entered the Churuli spiral. They would be the two cops that are looking for some thief, which we do not know who it is. Imagine it is some other actor. These two cops would have been Sobin Sahir as Shajivan and Vinay Fortt as Anthony. This is the prequel. They come in, Sobin Sahir performs the acts that were described in this movie, as in he abused children, he hunted, he poached, he did a lot of crimes, and therefore in the prequel, Sobin Sahir became Joy at the end of the movie by switching seats with someone else, just like Vinay Fortt did in this movie. Similar to the prequel, we have seen in this movie that Vinay Fortt has performed the same acts of crime, hunting, poaching, abusing children, murdering, and he is at the end of the movie switching seats. This means that if there was a sequel, the cops would be played by Chemban Vinod, who is now Shajivan in the sequel, and some other actor as Anthony. Imagine this actor is Vinayakan or whoever you want. He will be the new Anthony, Chemban Vinod will be Shajivan, and Vinay Fortt is going to be Joy. So think of it as a switch. Again, it's a circular spiral in the Jeep as well. Think of it as people switching seats every time one movie happens. This is the major loop that keeps continuing through the movie. What happens to Sobin Sahir after this movie, and what will happen to a Vinay Fortt after the next movie, these are things we do not have answers for, because they could very well either be just another drunk at the toddy shop, they could very well be just another villager working somewhere. We don't know if they exit the loop or they stay in the loop. That is not something, it doesn't matter. But what matters right now is that this is the way the loop operates. There are some major hints as to why we can arrive at this conclusion that this is how this works. Some of the hints I've already mentioned is that how Vinay Fortt already committed the crimes in this movie that Sobin Sahir had committed in the last movie. I've sort of explained that. But when Chemban Vinod, who is the new guy who will become Shajivan and then will become Joy, that particular narrative is explainable when the lady who gives him his tantric massage and wakes up the next day, she tells him, I know you're a cop, because she knows that the only cops come in certain roles and all this happens to them only. She's part of this, she's aware of this loop, and then she says, I can tell you exactly what is going to happen in your future. This is because she knows that he's now Anthony, he's going to become Shajivan, he's going to become Joy, and then whatever the hell happens after that, we don't even get there. But she knows this. Now, some of you might be wondering, if she knows this, she didn't recognize Vinay Fortt perfectly. This goes back to the time loop part I explained, where subconsciously she remembers Vinay Fort's face and she's like, I feel like I've seen you, I've definitely seen you, you're familiar. But she cannot really remember the details of the past. However, in the present, she's very conscious of how this loop works, how, what her role is in the loop. She can see that this character is going to go through X, Y, and Z. So somewhere she has a little more power and role that we have not explored, that she understands this loop. I want to contrast that with someone like Jafar Idki's character, who and the other people there who probably do not know as much about the loop. They are simply playing parts in this sort of simulated environment and they keep resetting, etc. I don't think they know as much about this loop and everything as much as this female character knows. And the other character that would probably know it is the old man at whose house the time machine operates. He's someone that has seen in the movie people look scared of him, people say it's better not to talk to him, to stay away from him, he's done things in the past that were weird. It seems like he's made a deal with the devil and he's operating this particular Churuli time loop at his house and has a little more power than everybody else. Again, this character was not explored much, similar to the female, so their extra role in why they are involved, how much do they know, who they work with, these are all completely open. We do not know any answers to those parts, but we do know that they are definitely involved in the loop. Other than Vinay Fortt committing the crimes, we know that he's part of this loop before as Anthony, because he had come here and therefore he feels this place is familiar. He feels like there's something going on here, I've been here before. He feels like he can walk around very easily. He feels like some people feel like they've seen him. The bar owner Jafar Idki once calls him George, which is his real name, and he responds as well and he doesn't even realize it. And also Vinay Fortt is the only character, when compared to Anthony, who actually sees all the strange happenings. He sees the fireball, he sees the two paired. cosmic alienish characters. He sees so many things that are absolutely weird, that are unexplainable and are beyond reality, that is the character, the Shahjeevan character is the only one that will see that. The reason for him seeing that and not Antony is because this extra power, whether you call it the demon or you call it the alien or whoever it is, this character, Marden or whoever it is, this character wants to break down the mentality of Shahjeevan and make him and push him to perform those acts of crime so he can become Joy. Just like any simulation, many factors are thrown in to push a character to do something, but finally the character has to do it himself. This requires him, who's the nicest guy outside, Vinay Fortt, when he comes in, it requires a significant amount of breaking his mentality down. Therefore, by showing him weird visuals, he's losing sleep, he's becoming an insomniac, he's feeling restless, he doesn't understand a lot of things, he's seeing a lot of openly committed crimes and criminals and not understanding how this place exists. So his mentality is being broken down slow and steady. This alien demon or whoever it is also sending that man randomly out of nowhere to meet Vinay Fortt and confront him and saying, who are you, where are you from? And then that is the man that says, you come here and sit here for this slapping contest. If you notice that scene carefully, this also seems like part of the simulation to break down Vinay Fortt so that he gets to a point where he's completely savage in his head and he's completely disrespected at the bottom corner pit, that all his demons and devils from inside start coming out and he feels the need to murder, take revenge, do lawless things because now he is beyond. So we can see that the simulation is operating with all these weird things going on to just drive Vinay Fortt a little crazy so that he can become Joy. He has to do things to become Joy. Of human behavior and aliens and demons, of course, the one thing that doesn't perfectly make sense is how can demons and aliens both coexist here. So that part I'm not sure. So leave your comments below if you understand that part. But the fact that in the breakfast spot, someone was reading a newspaper and saying that 2 Americans were caught by aliens or whatever, kidnapped by aliens, that indicates that and they laugh at it, which is important. It indicates that these events have been happening, or these incidents have been reported pretty regularly. And because it happens at the start of the movie, it sets up the stage for the fact that yes, aliens and some weird power are involved. Now that news was not shocking to a random local in the middle of a village. He didn't feel awe or shock by reading that. He said, oh, look at this, aliens kidnapped. It's like he's reading it for the 7th or 8th or 100th time. He's like, oh, one more alien kidnaps an American. That was the vibe. So it's setting up the stage for the fact that many weird incidents are happening. Why are they doing it? Separate discussion. We do not know if they want to test human behavior, they want to extinguish the human population by making them keep continuing in a spiral and gaining complete power over them. We don't know what the motivation is of the demon or the aliens and all of that. That is a separate discussion, but it definitely goes to show that there is some power involved that is obviously making this loop happen and this loop work. Some of you might be wondering about the character of Joju, George, and why he just comes at the end. Where did he go? Was he able to leave the loop and come back, etc.? Again, this I think is part of the simulation where there is a point at which every time the loop happens, Thunken is missing or is gone out somewhere. They are all actors to a certain extent, or they are part of the simulation. So out of nowhere, they are hidden or appearing to make the simulation push forward, just like a video game or something. You keep going, suddenly you see a character, you keep going after many levels, then you'll see the main villain or something like that, right? So this is all a staged thing to keep the simulation going. This is the same as the character, the lady who runs with an axe to drive Vinay Fortt crazy and scare the hell out of him. The character of the guy in the slapping contest who comes and goes out of nowhere. And the character of Joju George, who doesn't need to appear until the climactic point where they want to now put him in and see what happens next. So I think many of these things are really part of the simulation and the sort of experiment that is going on, and it keeps looping in that way. Every time, now the next time in the sequel, as I said, if Chemban Vinod, who is Shahjeevan in the sequel, comes with Vinayakan, who is Antony in the sequel, Joju George will not appear until the climax, and then again he will come and he will perform in the similar way and see how the reactions are, etc. I hope this discussion has given some closure and some decoding as to what exactly is going on. And if you watch the movie now after understanding some of these explanations, you will approach it in a different way, because now you will watch the movie understanding that Vinay Forrt is coming here for the second time, understanding that Chemban Vinod is here for the first time, understanding that all the other characters are playing simulated people that come and go at a certain time, that say certain things. What are they saying? Where can you pick up clues and cues? And why Vinay Fortt is acting and reacting the way he is, and tying it to Sobin Sair's character. It'll be a very different viewing experience, and that is what makes such films great. I love Churuli. I'm happy to hear each and every one of your thoughts on it. If I got something wrong, please leave your comments below and tell me. I'm happy to learn, because I am part of the audience just like you guys. And I hope you like this video. If you did, please do subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment again on your thoughts, share the video, and keep watching for much more.